Just getting set up for the vertical. Give me a couple minutes. All right. And good morning, everybody. At least it's still morning here for me. It's 11:11. Just working on a few things in the studio this morning. I wanted to make this small video. I put a small short out there and was going to do a full video, but I think it's better to talk about this in a podcast. This is basically just my opinion of Heartmath, that institute or organization. We're going to talk a little bit about that today and the numbers from some of that stuff and why I think Heartmath, first and foremost, is bunk, in case a lot of you guys don't know. It's not that they're not, some of their stuff isn't legit. It's that a lot of people see Heartmath, they see those two words, and they think, oh, this has to be purely scientific. And from someone who is a scientific person, we'll dissect Heartmath today, and I'll show you what's right and what's wrong about that channel, YouTube, that institute, whatever you guys really want to call Heartmath. So first and foremost, the biggest problem I think that the scientific community has right now with Heartmath is a lot of like the literature that they cite in there and the numbers where they come from. You'll see some statistic, you'll go to look at where the resource was and where it came from. Some of it's just fine. Some of them, it's empirical data is what we would call it. It's known information. It's numbers that have been, it's not anything to do with theory. It's not anything to do with anything like that. The problem comes is when they give those stats, there's an asterisk, and I go to take a look at the resources that they got that information from. And some of that literature is, how do I say this? It's just not widely accepted in the scientific community as fact. A lot of books or a lot of research or a lot of stuff that gets released is theoretical research. Until a lot of those concepts can be tested with like the scientific method and presented in legit journals and cross-referenced with peers agreeing that, hey, this is something, it gets talked about, and then it gets accepted, and then it gets distributed amongst the top scientific community areas. We're talking about Oxford and Princeton and Yale. We're talking about where the think tanks are. We're talking about places where this information is vital to helping other research. So that's what I mean by some of the literature that Heartmath uses. It's just it's good information from a majority of it. What they talk about there that I like personally would be like heart rate, variability, studies and that kind of stuff, and emotional regulatory stuff. I do think there's big gains to be done by observing, practicing a lot of that. Don't get me wrong, that is proven um, physiology, and as well as a lot of that they see in there is really proven neuroscience today, especially in 2026. That's just a given. Like I said, we're going to go back to the problem why a lot of people see a Heartmath thing or they see a quote and they just take it straight to heart. And I give that warning sign, even to our known stuff, even for the equations that we feel confident about, those still get rewritten every once in a while. So when I see numbers from a place that isn't even that grounded, it's kind of a red flag to me anyways. Does it mean it's bad? Does it mean you shouldn't watch it? You shouldn't do stuff like that? No, don't get me wrong. This is just my personal opinion. This is just how I approach a complicated scientific a problem, basically, or when I get information from things and I just do some research. Because I found, especially on YouTube nowadays, and I found in a lot of these institutes, and that was another thing, is that when it gets called an .org or an institute, I a lot of people take that as credibility, that this must be something, or a .edu. This must be something important that's been verified and it's just absolute truth. And I think that's where some of the problems start coming in, especially in 2026. And that's actually where we solved major problems a long time ago in science as a whole. What a lot of smart people did, including Einstein and many others, is they went back to the drawing board of what do we actually really know? And then they started over from there. Because what happens with a lot of people over time is things get embellished, theories look so solid, and theories just become the norm. Teaching regulations, this is the theory, and so that's what we're going to use. That's just the equation we're going to use. And the fact is, if it's still a theory, it's still a theory. And even Einstein's theories are still theories. A lot of them have been proven, and in numerous sciences, and so we slowly start accepting these as what we would call more of a universal truth. Even those are always can be refined, in my opinion, but we got to start with something. And like I said, when you see things, websites, YouTube channels, talkers coming from something that says edu, like it's a state or university, and they're talking about something that has to do with large energy field or mystic stuff, I think they're great for long-term study for theory. But when I get asked about the scientific merit of these, I would say some of it's okay, but I'm going to call the bullshit meter on some stuff. Why? Because I would call the bullshit meter on myself if I wasn't saying something that, like, it's kind of true. This stuff is, that's what we talk about. That's how we get to truths. That's how we get there. Is by crazy, wild ideas that come from unusual areas. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more on the next episode, but I am going to talk a little bit about that today. I want to talk about how Heartmath's theories and other sources are actually great. And this is what I mean by that. There was a lot of people in the past, Rahatmacha, Carver, there was a lot of people who had a very limited knowledge and their upbringing or a scholastic background, accolades. They didn't have any of that. And through sheer determination, love for the game, and a few other things, they cut through theory, math, everything we had, and developed things no one else had ever even thought of and dreamed of, and they were proven true. All you have to do is do a simple research of whatever science you're into, and there's always a scientist or two that is in that field that found that stuff that way. And in that respects, I do see mysticism playing a part in real science. A lot of it has to do with the beginning, where the ideas came from, where the emergence comes from. It's a wild thing about complexity theory and an emergence, and it's something that fascinates me. How small, simple things can actually end up being a very complicated and very profound knowledge in our world. And some are really extreme like that, some are very little, but it's always a real fascinating thing to find out the sources of where some of this comes from. Well, where did we find that idea about that? Well, somebody came up with it. Someone was playing around with this or had an idea about that. There's people have these abilities, I've seen them before, to see things and see patterns that nobody else can see. You know, I give so much credit to a lot of those people right now. I'm still grinding on it. In much respect, I try to do that here on my channel. I don't have multiple doctorate degrees with a full staff and lab to do research, but I never thought that was needed to find something, kind of important or special in this world. I felt that what's more important is what? Sheer determination and the love for the game. That's it. That's where emergence comes from. Complexity. This is where we find where simple things, maybe just a simple human or a concept, where does it get evolved? Where does the magic happen? And that's one thing that I'm going to be discussing a little bit more going through 2026. We're going to be talking about emergence, complexity theory, why I think everybody out there has the ability to come up with amazing ideas that nobody has ever thought of and actually help our world and expand on things and maybe come up with some ideas outside the box that nobody's ever thought of. So I try to come on here. I do this channel. I'm hoping that I inspire someone at least one point to go down some of these rabbit holes and take a look at some of this stuff. I find it extremely fascinating. As soon as, Heartmath was definitely one of those that I was starting out, like, when I read their stuff and I saw their references, and man, I wanted to hate them. But it brought me back around to this full circle about, well, where do these good scientific findings come from? Well, it comes from the theories to begin with, and the theories end up becoming, so there's a place and a part for all of us in this. And I think that's so much true when it comes to society. I hear sometimes talking about people, oh, go back to school, get a job. And I try to tell people that it takes all kinds to make this world. We need the people at the marketplace. We need the people at the grocery store. We need the people at the gas stations. We need everybody. We can't have everybody just go to school and be doctors. Let's be realistic. It takes all kinds to make a beautiful, varied world. With that said, when it comes to research, consciousness study, when it comes to discovering new things out there, whether it's math, science, new equations, theories, you want to design something, you want to, whatever it is, never think that because you don't have the upbringing for something like that, especially in 2026, is going to limit you. I think that you have all the potential to be heard. I think you have all the potential for your ideas to be developed. The only thing I would say to a lot of people coming from, when I was definitely a younger scientist and I had all these great ideas and things I wanted to develop. Don't get discouraged if you have to rework your ideas. If you have to, if you have to evolve both your theories and ideas and yourself to just make it that much more nicer and cleaner and get it so solidly down that it has to be universally accepted, that's where the magic happens. A lot of people did this and a lot of people changed the world. And I don't feel like it needs to be something so profound. I don't think that, I think that it just requires love for the game and sheer determination. Find out what interests you and never let anything limit you. That's what I got on that one. I think if other scientists had given up a long time ago, we wouldn't have the great discoveries we do. And the play on that is, I think if we had more people that believed in themselves and were given more tools, I think that we'd have more discoveries as well. And I'm willing to bet more of the out-fringing ideas that are really going to change the world, that are waiting for us, are going to be more discovered by people willing to think more outside of the box and come up with these extreme ideas and willing to test them, willing to spend time on them, willing to evolve them. If things aren't looking great, play with it. Have a time in life. It's about learning, it's about loving, and it's about, showing and caring. And some of the biggest contributions, I think, can come from something like this. So that's what I got. I was talking about Heartmath today. A lot of people taking that as some real facts, and there is a lot to be loved about Heartmath, the Institute, but I always put that disclaimer. I want people to really know the truth, and I want people to understand that any of these companies out there right now, everything should be double checked. If you're a true scientific person, as far as, I went to look at their references, and some of the literature was just fine. Some of it, empirical data, I've got no problem with it. Some of it, when I went to go look at it, was from sources I would call speculative, theoretical, and it likes to use a lot of theoretical uses for large energy field and a few other things. We're almost there. That's the thing, is that I feel like they're trying to push us into accepting those, but we're not there in accepting those because we haven't tested them out enough, is where the pushback would be. And the problem with accepting those is that's the problem that we fell into a while ago with science, as accepting theories too much and not going back to the drawing board of what can we actually test with tools. And I think that a lot of scientists would talk about tools and tool developments and measurements and things that we can actually empirically prove before I would be mass producing this out to the mass audiences, putting a name like Heartmath on there, Institute. It gives it that somewhat false impression that name Heartmath and Institute is like it makes it feel like, oh, everything is legit. We just got to accept it. And it was designed that way. And that's not the truth. And that's the problem that I have with it. That's what I wanted to come on here and talk about today. Spitting the truth, spitting the game about science, doing my own independent research. If you've got anything, if you want me to look into things, let me know. I'm going to probably do a little bit of the orchestrated theory, a little bit. I talked a little bit. I made a video about that. And we still talk about some of the theories, of Penrose and his current theories. We've discussed that a little bit. I will be making a new episode coming up talking about that. So hit that like, hit that subscribe. If you want me to discuss something, want me to take a look at something, want me to give you my honest opinion about something, put it in there. Black holes, dark matter, Everything from science to consciousness, there's nothing I won't touch and give an honest opinion. I'm not sponsored. This is my own opinion. And I like to do deep dives. I like to discuss things. If I've missed something, if I got something wrong, I love it when, there is debate. Because debate to me is clarification. If somebody's got some empirical data that I haven't seen before that's maybe out, that's great. That's amazing. That's that's what we're looking for on the quest for truth is empirical data, and we need testing. We need that over time. We need that information so we can say, is it steady information? Is it a constant? Is there variables? There's so much more we can do just by gathering this information, which thankfully that's what a lot of what we're doing now with stars, telescopes, microscopes. There's a lot of great things like that. I look forward to the quantum entangled cameras. That's some real wild stuff you should go look at. Ghost imaging. The 2026 is going to be amazing, especially if we can get away from proprietary stuff and be more sharing, open concept, open sources. If you're rich out there, buy that shit. Put it open source for everybody. I guarantee you'll see the human race move farther and further faster than any movement in the last history. And your name will be tied to that. So that's what I got. I wanted to give it to everybody. I'm going to keep spitting my truth, my game, what I think. And like I said, if anybody has anything, I am going to go back to doing some meditations. It didn't seem like a lot of people wanted to see it live. I've recorded it, uploaded it so many times, the Ben Top one. I am still doing it. But when I do it, I find that I like to be so quiet and subtle. I'm getting so much gains by doing this internal one. My feeling is I might record it, me doing it, and then do a voiceover later of it, what I'm thinking about, what I'm feeling. If you want to see that, hit that like and subscribe. Put some comments down below. I'm going to continue working on my books. I'm really happy with how many people are enjoying them. I did release, for everybody who's watching, I can do this promotion where I can give away 2 of my free ebooks right now. Absolutely free. They're down in the description. Go take a look. The best I can ask is give me a like or give me a follow if you kind of like it. They're more technical a little bit, and they're maybe about subjects you guys don't really care for, but they're absolutely free, and I appreciate it. Just getting the free ones really still helps and motivates me to write more, do some more on my channel. I'm really enjoying this. I'm starting out, so you're seeing me doing this on a younger journey. I'm hoping that you'll join me and see me at the end of 2026 and see how the show has developed a little bit. I am a one-man show with almost zero budget. I just have a lot of heart, passion, sheer determination, and love for the game. So if you liked it and I earned it, hit that like and subscribe. I will be uploading this onto my channel later if you want to watch the whole thing in its entirety. I understand not everybody can be here right now. They've got work, they've got school, they're taking care of things. Maybe you jumped in the middle of this channel and you want to see everything that I talked about. This episode specifically was just a podcast type episode about Heartmath, my feelings, and then I kind of went off topic a little bit, how I'm going to do these podcasts. No script needed. Just like I said, sheer determination, love for the game. And as always, you guys have a beautiful day.